In the spotlight tonight, Dr. Akintunde Akinkunmi, a forensic psychiatrist. His specialized subject is Field Marshal Rommel. Tony Bell, a mature student. His specialized subject, the marathon. Tony Dart, a chartered engineer, and his specialized subject is the Professor Fenn stories of Edmund Crispin. And Colin Cadby, a building society employee. His specialized subject is British naval history of the Second World War. Hello and welcome once again to Mastermind from Britannia Royal Naval College in Dartmouth for the first semi-final of Mastermind 1997. Since 1863, there has been an officer training school here in Dartmouth, and among the notable cadets to have passed through was a future George V, the Sailor King, pictured here on board HMS Britannia when it was a training ship moored in the River Dart. Today, a statue of George V presides over the quarterdeck, as this hall is known here, for although the college is shore-based, nautical traditions are maintained, and cadets salute as they pass through as if boarding ship. And our second semi-finalist, please. Your name, please.
Tony Bell.
Occupation.
Mature student.
In the first round, you took the life and works of Arthur C. Clarke. What is your chosen specialized subject for the semi-final?
The Marathon Footrace from 1896.
Tony Bell, you have 2 minutes on the marathons from 1896 starting. Now, who won the first modern Olympic marathon, which was run between Marathon and Athens in 1896?
Lewis.
Correct. Who was the ailing race leader in the 1908 Olympic marathon, who was disqualified after officials helped him struggle over the line?
Pietri.
Correct. When the Polytechnic Harriers Marathon was inaugurated in 1909, the course started at Windsor Castle and finished where?
Stamford Bridge.
Correct. In 1906, who won the marathon at the so-called intercalated Olympics?
Sheringham.
Correct. At Fukuoka in 1967, who became the first man to run a marathon in under 2 hours 10 minutes?
Clayton.
Correct. Which country won both the gold and the silver medals in the marathon of the 1912 Olympic Games?
South Africa. South Africa.
Correct. Who was the first woman to win in the London Marathon in 1981?
Smith. Joyce Smith.
Correct. Who set a new women's British best time in the London Marathon in 1989?
Veronique Marrow.
Correct. On which marathon course is the infamous Heartbreak Hill?
Boston.
Correct. Who was the first woman to run the marathon in under 2.5 hours?
Greta Weitz.
Correct. In 1983, Greta Weitz won the women's marathon title at the inaugural World Championship Games held in which city?
Helsinki.
Correct. In the Olympic marathon, Britain's first 4 medals were all silver. Who won Britain's 5th medal, which was a bronze?
Spedding.
Correct. Who was the first Englishman to win the Commonwealth Games marathon title?
Holden.
Correct. Before the Olympic distance was standardized in 1924, which Olympic Games held the longest marathon?
Antwerp.
Correct. Which athlete was the first African-born runner to win the Olympic marathon?
Oifi.
Correct. When Britain's Jim Peters broke the world best time in June 1952, who came second to him, also beating the previous world best?
Pass.
The 1978 Commonwealth Games marathon champion, Gidami Shahanga, represented which country?
Tanzania.
Correct. Who became the youngest man to win the Olympic marathon at the age of 20?
Teato.
No, Kwan Sabala. I just started, so I'll finish. In 1992, which woman won an Olympic marathon bronze medal at the age of 37?
Lorraine Moller.
Is correct. At the end of that round, Tony Bell, you have scored 17 points with 1 pass. The man who came second to Jim Peters in 1952 and still beat the previous world best was Stan Cox. Tony Bell, thank you very much. Our third semi-final. And that brings us to the end of the first round, the specialized subjects rounds. Let us look at the scores. And in 4th place on 14 points is Akintunde Akinkunmi. In 3rd place on 15 points is Colin Cadby, but there is a tie for the lead on 17 points at this halfway stage between Tony Bell and Tony Dart. And now Tony Bell again, please. He is a postgraduate student in chemistry at Cambridge. He comes from Warrington. Scored 17 points on the marathon since 1896 to be lying in joint first place at the halfway stage. The target to aim at is 33. Your general knowledge questions are starting. Now, in which country did the drink tequila originate?
Mexico.
Correct. What name is given to a measure equal to 4 inches, traditionally used to measure the height of a horse?
Hand.
Correct. Which science fiction writer wrote the award-winning novel Ringworld, published in 1970?
Niven.
Correct. The Mountain Stand, designed by Michael Hopkins and completed in 1987, is part of which sports ground?
Lord's Cricket Ground.
Correct. Which seaport in eastern England stands at the confluence of the rivers Stour and Orwell?
Felixstowe.
No, Harwich. In Greek mythology, Narcissus fell in love with his own reflection after spurning the love of which nymph?
Pass.
Of which Canadian province is Fredericton the capital?
Prince Edward Island.
No, New Brunswick. The SI unit of electric charge is named after which French scientist?
Coulomb.
Coulomb is right. The programme of reforms known as the Provisions of Oxford was issued in 1258 during the reign of which king?
Henry II.
No, the third. John Crome and John Sell Cotman were artists of which English regional school of painting?
Pass.
Which song was the first official national anthem of the Soviet Union from the Bolshevik Revolution until 1944?
The Red Flag.
No, the International. In the 1880s, which German bacteriologist discovered the bacilli which cause tuberculosis and cholera?
Ehrlich.
No, it was Koch. During the Vietnam War, what name did the Americans give to the network of paths used as the North Vietnamese supply route to the south?
Ho Chi Minh Trail.
Correct. Which Edinburgh public school, founded in 1870, was attended by Tony Blair?
Edinburgh Academy.
No, Fettes. What is the common name of the yellow wildflower Ranunculus acris?
Daisy.
No, the buttercup. Shelley's poem Adonais is an elegy on the death of which other poet?
Byron.
No, Keats. What is the English name of the autonomous region of Spain which is called Euskardy in the local language?
Basque Country.
Correct. Who became King of France after Napoleon's first abdication, fled into exile during the 100 Days, and was restored to the throne in 1815? And you may answer.
Louis XV.
No, it was the 18th. At the end of that round, Tony Bell, your score has gone up to 24 points. There were 2 passes. Narcissus fell in love with the nymph Echo, and John Crome and John Sell Cotman were artists of the Norwich School of Painting. Tony Bell, thank you very much. And now that brings us to the end of the second round and therefore the end of this first semi-final. Let us look at the scores. And in joint third place on 24 points are Akintunde Akinkunmi and Tony Bell. In second place on 29 points is Tony Dart, but the convincing winner with 33 points is the Building Society employee with the Woolwich, Colin Cadby. Well, our congratulations to Colin Cadby, who pulled up so resolutely in his second round and now becomes the first finalist of Mastermind 1997, and our thanks and our commiserations to the other gallant semi-finalists.